Someone has to swear in
Yes.
whoever's being sworn in.
Okay, I'd like to bring this meeting to order. The Village of Villa Park Board of Trustees, April 28th, 2025 meeting. Clerk Henneke, please call the roll.
Trustee Alfano?
Here.
Trustee Cordova?
Here.
Trustee Corkery?
Here.
Trustee Kozar?
Here.
Trustee Kumar?
Here,
Trustee Patrick?
Here.
President Kazone?
Here. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to assist our village in these trying times. Help us to make the decisions that will affect the staff, directors, and residents of Villa Park. Guide us through the challenges we face, and may we approach each other with respect and kindness as one group. In your name, amen. Okay, we'll go on to item number 3, amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Trustee Alfano.
Yes, thank you. I would like to postpone 13F for the May 12th meeting, the paid paternity leave policy.
Yeah, sure, yeah, go ahead.
Would you like any discussion tonight at that meeting regarding direction on that policy? If so, my recommendation is that we leave the agenda as written, and when we get to that item 13F, the board can postpone that item. But leaving it on will allow for some discussion at this time. So if you're open to, or would desire some discussion at this time, we can leave it on the agenda.
I'm okay with some discussion, but I'm not okay with voting on that tonight, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, because like she said, if we take it off the agenda, we can't talk about it, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also do have one more that I would like to modify, postpone both agenda items 8A and B until May 19th.
Which ones?
8A and B until May 19th.
Okay, reason for that? Any reason?
Well, I have some questions. I am the Fund Commission liaison, and I know that there are a couple of things I have some questions on, and I'd like to get in touch with some of the people that are on here, because I have not met them directly, and we are appointing some people here for a term that I haven't seen at a meeting yet. So I would like to postpone that.
Okay, anyone else want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion on amending, delaying items 8A and B until, I would say probably until the 19th?
That's what, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry,
what
is that what you, okay,
that's what I
Okay.
proposed.
okay, any discussion?
Yeah.
Trustee Cordova?
So this is just the second part of the commissioners that we approved last month, or last meeting. And the reason is you want to just talk to them, like interview them?
Some of them I would like to talk about. I'd like to get a little bit more information about the golf course, Sugar Creek Golf Course Administration Board. I mean, like, I feel like if we wanted to extend their terms, that should have happened last meeting. I think now it's time for us to start looking at it and kind of postponing it, kind of have some discussions with people.
Okay,
We're close to another board taking over. I think that they should have some say in that too. We're on our last meeting here.
any, Trustee Corkery?
With regard to the commissioners, these aren't contested positions, right? The people
Correct.
who we're voting are the only people who applied for that spot?
Yeah, they're currently on, and we're just, their term is up, and we're extending it. for
Sure.
Another term.
They will be the people no matter what, right? Because they're the ones who applied for the position, no? There's no other
Well, yeah, if the board approves it, the board has to approve them.
Sure.
Yep.
President Kazone,
Yes.
can you just make reference to the public on how commission members become commission members?
Go ahead, you want-
And
President
absolute-
Kazone?
Well, I'm going
Can I-
to
just
defer
from
to
a-
the attorney.
Just from a procedural standpoint, really, this amendments to the agenda would be adding or removing items from the agenda at this time. If you would like to postpone it, the board has the absolute authority to be able to do that. It's just that if we get into further discussion on it, the motion to postpone really should take place at that item on the agenda. So if the board is okay doing that, I mean, we could consider it now. I'm just saying from a procedural standpoint, at this stage in the proceedings, it's approving the agenda as written, which does not divest the board from postponing any matter when we get to it, or adding a matter for discussion if the board would like.
Trustee Kumar.
I'm okay with waiting to postpone it until we get to 8A. I am, just like we're going to do with F.
Okay.
I don't know, do we have to take a vote on it?
I mean, at
Well,
this
there's a
point,
motion out
we
there,
do
yeah.
have a motion and a second, so we
So-
can continue further on with this discussion.
If there's no more discussion, we can vote on it.
Okay.
Okay,
I think trustee Patrick did want some clarification on the appointment.
okay.
It's okay.
Okay, Clerk Konecki, this is to postpone items 8A and B till May 19th.
Yes. Okay, trustee Cordova,
No.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes. Or, no, excuse me.
okay, trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
and President Kazone.
No. Okay, so with that, we will postpone items 8A and 8B until May 19th. Okay, any other amendments? Okay, seeing as there's none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Trustee Kumar,
I will
second.
make-
Trustee Alfano,
I'll second.
questions? Okay, Clerk Kornecki.
Okay, trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Alfano,
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, item 4, public comments on non-agenda items. Clerk Kornecki.
I have nobody for non-agenda.
I'm sorry, agenda, this is agenda items,
Oh,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
agenda, yes.
items.
Christine Murphy. Items 6C and 13F.
Good evening, Christine Murphy, 523 South Yale Avenue. And I'd like to speak on two different items. The first one is 6C, which is a proclamation declaring May 4th through 10th Municipal Clerks Week and to recognize Village Clerk Rosanna Kornecki. I personally would like to thank Rosanna for her service to the community and all that it meant to me, particularly when I was on the board. And I would like to leave you with something for your garden.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The second thing that I would like to speak on is a good bounce off of trustee Alfano's, what is that? 13F, the resolution adopting a paid parental leave policy. I would be in agreement that, from my perspective, that should be postponed. We've got a really solid basis of foundation for a start on that with respect to the comparison that was done between the county and the state. So that's a wonderful and perfect start. The piece that I'm not seeing integrated into that is where the money is going to come from to fund that. So my question becomes, and I think it would be a question for Chuck or a finance person, is there a way to determine what percentage of the revenue at a county and state level do they allocate toward their human resource benefits and/or to a deeper dive, the maternity? I don't know that it's an apples-to-apples comparison to say we can match anybody, whether it be state, local, or a corporate, benefit one for one, because I don't know that our revenue equates to something similar or more than the entity that we're using for a basis for comparison. So if the state has more money or the county has more money, then it's very viable that they could be offering a more lucrative benefit than perhaps we could afford. I'm not saying we can't, I'm just saying I haven't seen anything that would help us to validate the numbers that we're choosing with respect to 8 weeks or 12 weeks. I am in favor of the benefit. My perspective is that it should be integrated into next year's budget because it was not a line item. We've already voted on our budget, we had line items, it's been reviewed and approved, and we could possibly, with approval, integrate it effective May if there's someone that can tell us what line item we're going to reduce the budget on in an effort to accomplish what we're hoping to make happen here. That's my comment with respect to the parental leave, and I appreciate Trustee Alfano's notification on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine.
Okay, yes, next is Joe Amore, 15A.
Good evening, Joe Amore, 309 East Maple, Villa Park. So about 15A, I'm not sure of the particulars of whether you are deciding to have or not have a committee of the whole meeting on May 12th. A little background here is that although I am a member of the Bike Pedestrian Transit Subcommittee, I'm not speaking on behalf of the subcommittee right now. I'm speaking as a resident since '85 and a retired conductor on a Union Pacific. So I know that there's a grade crossing feasibility study out there. And at some point in the near future, the board may decide to action that item. Because of my attendance as a stakeholders meeting, the engineering company, Civil Tech, admitted at the meeting that the data that they took for crossings for vehicles was from an ICC study that was done in 2018. That does not represent our current usage over those crossings. So before we consider expending a major project, which I've been on this, it's been a passion project for me since Joyce DePiggio was the president. The problem is that back in the early 2000s, Union Pacific and Metra did a joint project, the entire UP West line. And at the time, there was a crossing at the station that people would run across at the last second. So they closed that crossing and then put retaining walls down at the east end and then made another crossing down there at the east end. That was the time that a pedestrian underpass should have been considered. It wasn't. I wasn't involved in the process, so now we're moving on. So studies have shown that in the data that I've looked at, a project that could have been expensed like the one in the village of Winfield, which mirrors what we want to do just for the pedestrian underpass, back then cost $4 million, okay? It's probably double by now. The problem is that if you're going to consider this project, it's hard to get, you shouldn't be doing it on flawed data. Now, it's hard to get there. Since then, there's been 2 companies that do predictive analysis that take active crossings. They sell their technology to the community, and then that community has it in place so that they can have train crossing blocks in real time to alert first responders to detour them to another location. So there's 2 companies currently available that do that work, Croy Railway Group and Link Things, and they both do data analysis. I was able to talk to the people of those companies, and then both would be available on May 12th to come in and do a less than 30-minute presentation on their technology so that you can take it into consideration before you move forward with the grade crossing feasibility study. So whether you do this or not, I still would highly recommend just doing the pedestrian underpass at the east end of the platform. It won't interfere with any other projects you want to do. If you want to do Ardmore one way or the other, you can do Ardmore. Any other crossings you can do. For example,
Joe, we're going to have to cut
Lombard.
you off there.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Look at Lombard. They have 2 crossings within 100 feet of each other. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Tina Constatos, 13F.
Hi, Tina Constatos. I wanted to bounce off of Trustee Alfano and Christine, as well. I too think that that should kind of be put off. I think that there's information that has been started, but as I look at the figures, I kind of question some of it. I'm not quite sure if direct wages paid is supposed to be what the pay is of those individuals, the percentage that they're assuming would be the percentage that might be using the benefits. But if that's the case, the wages would be paid whether or not the person was sitting at their desk or on leave of absence. So I'm wondering if that 85,000 is accurate. Also, as far as like the state and federal expenses, kind of the same thing. So I'm just wondering how accurate the numbers are, and I think there's a lot more to take into consideration as far as just these numbers. There also needs to be not only how much time we'd be wanting to give somebody off, but we have to take into consideration how long that employee has been working here. What happens if the employee doesn't stay and come back? There's a lot of different topics I think that need to be discussed and worked through. I would certainly love to see this happen for 2025 and as soon as possible, but I really think there's a lot more information and questions that should be answered before we jump into voting for something. Thank you.
Thanks, Tina.
Okay, one more. I've got signed up Cheryl Tucker regarding item 13G.
Cheryl Tucker, Cornell. I have three brief statements to make. One of them is on your packet on page 484. I'm pretty sure it's a typing error, but on that it says you're searching for a new village manager instead of assistant village manager. So hopefully that is the case, and it's not. It will be corrected that we're not looking for a new village manager on that.
Thank you.
I briefly, on F, on F, I do agree with you on that it needs to be, it's a little quick, but my perspective is, how does this parallel with our medical plan? We're talking about giving pay leave, but how does it parallel with our already medical plan set up in effect? Have we looked into the combination of that on it? And then I do have a question, seeing you took off the A and B on if our ordinance says some of our committees are supposed to vote and put new chairmans in May. Does that mean we need, as the attorney probably will have to answer that later, seeing we do not have a complete board? I know previously she said that it would move on, and so the quota wouldn't make any difference if we got voted in or not, or approved. But on a code, some of our village code, it does state some of these boards are supposed to do an election in May. So does that get moved on to June under the code, or does that code have to change with the board giving approval to do that?
No one else.
Okay, anyone else? So, public comments on agenda items. Okay, public comments on non-agenda items?
I have no one signed up.
Okay,
Bob Wagner with the Village's Environmental Concerns Commission. Just want to remind village residents that our spring sweep recycling event is a little over 2 weeks away. That'll be on Saturday, May 17th from 9 a.m. to noon. And we're going to have pretty much all the same groups collecting. We'll have a different group collecting paint, which residents will have to pay for. But so I would just encourage folks, if you've been storing up stuff to recycle, Saturday, May 17th is the day, and we're looking for volunteers, and you can reach out to environmentalconcerns@invillapark.com if you want to volunteer. We can use all the volunteers we can get. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, anyone else?
Tina again. I was on social media, and a person had just kind of mentioned how with all the windstorms that are going on, the back parts of her fence had fallen over. She said that they removed the sections that had been knocked down, but obviously because fencing isn't cheap, they hadn't yet replaced those pieces. but they got either a letter or notice saying they had 30 days to do so, or they were going to start getting fines. So I'm not sure what the whole process is for that. And I know she said she was going to try to get in touch with the village, because I said, either come to a meeting or get in touch with somebody. I'm not sure if she did or not. I said I'd mention it, so I didn't know if maybe we could hear a little bit about what the process of a situation like that is when it's due to Mother Nature, so to speak. You know what I mean? If there's
Typically,
like
if
a
they-
time frame or,
If somebody comes in, they can talk to code enforcement, and
okay,
they'll work with them.
thank you.
That'd be their place to start, code enforcement. Okay. Anyone else? Public comments, non-agenda items. Okay, we move on to item 6, proclamations. And we have several of them this evening. First one is recognizing May 2025 as Historic Preservation Month. And whereas the Village of Villa Park recognizes and is proud to have 2 properties on the National Register of Historic Places, 2 locally designated historic landmark business districts, and 85 buildings that have been historically recognized through the village's Historic Preservation Awards. And whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for revitalizing neighborhoods, encouraging tourism, fostering local pride, maintaining community character, and sustaining development while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation fosters a culture of reuse and life cycle conservation, which is environmentally sustainable and economical. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals who help to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Nick Cazone, Village President of Villa Park, do hereby recognize May 2025 as Historic Preservation Month in Villa Park, and call upon the people of Villa Park to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance. And as everyone knows, Villa Park has a lot of historical significant properties in town, and the Historic Preservation Commission and society do a great job of keeping that alive. So thank you to everyone that works on those. Our next one is a proclamation recognizing May 4th through 12th, 2025 as Public Service Recognition Week. Whereas the citizens of the Village of Villa Park are served each day by public servants at the federal, state, county, and local levels. And whereas Public Service Recognition Week has been celebrated the first week of May since 1985 to honor the men and women who serve our nation as government employees. And whereas over 150 hardworking, talented people with a variety of certifications, specialty trade backgrounds, training, and education are employed by the Village of Villa Park. And whereas these individuals provide our community with public infrastructure, police services, streets, facilities and grounds maintenance, economic and community development, parks and recreation, fire prevention, protection services, finance, human resources, management, and administration. And whereas our civil servants work to protect and improve the quality of life for our residents, businesses, and visitors, regardless of the challenges they face. And whereas without these public servants at every level, continuity in local government would be impossible. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Nick Cazone, President of the Village of Villa Park, along with the Village of Villa Park Board of Trustees, do hereby proclaim the week of May 4th through May 10th, 2025 as Public Service Recognition Week in the Village of Villa Park. I encourage residents to express their appreciation for the important contributions of our public employees throughout the village. And as we like to say up here a lot, we hear that from us, we do have excellent staff in the Village of Villa Park, and thank you to all the hardworking people who work for Villa Park. Thank you very much for your service. Next proclamation is declaring May 4th through 12th, 2025 as the 56th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and to recognize Village Clerk Hosanna Korianecki. Whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is a time-honored and vital part of local government and is the oldest office held among public service servants. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, county, and professional organizations. Whereas the Village of Villa Park recognizes our professional municipal clerk, Hosanna Korianecki, and her accomplishments. And whereas Clerk Korianecki has held the office of municipal clerk in the Village of Villa Park since 2007, and whereas Clerk Korianecki has been a dedicated professional for 18 years, never missing a Village Board of Trustee meeting while in office. Now, be resolved that I, Nick Cazzone, President of the Village of Villa Park, along with the Village Board of Trustees, do hereby proclaim the week of May 4th through May 10th, 2025 as the 56th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week in the Village of Villa Park, and further recognizes and extends appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Hosanna Korianecki. And Hosanna, I'd like to thank you also for your long service and dedication to the Villa Park. It's a tough job, and there's a lot of hours put in, and we appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next one is a proclamation recognizing National Police Week, and May 15th, 2025 is National Peace Officers Memorial Day in the Village of Villa Park. And whereas National Police Week is celebrated nationally and locally during the month of May, and whereas the first Blue Mass took place in 1934, when law enforcement officers gathered to pray for fallen comrades and seek God's blessing for their own safety. And whereas in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 5th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the tradition has carried on for over 60 years. And whereas law enforcement officers risk their lives every day to protect and serve the Village of Villa Park, along with others in times of need. And whereas on May 13th, 2025, a candlelight vigil will be held in Washington, D.C. to honor fallen law enforcement officers from across the country. Now therefore, I, Nick Cazzone, Village President of the Village of Villa Park, do hereby recognize National Police Week and proclaim May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day in the Village of Villa Park. And further, the Village Hall flag will be flown at half-staff in honor of all law enforcement officers on May 15th, 2025 in the Village of Villa Park. And again, something I think this board is very respectful of is our police officers in the village. And I think most residents have a real high regard for our village police staff. And thank you, Chief, and to all of your officers. Thank you. And finally, a proclamation recognizing May 17th through 2025 as National Safe Boating Week. Whereas for 90 million Americans, boating continues to be a popular recreational activity from coast to coast and everywhere in between. And whereas during National Safe Boating Week, we want to bring special attention to this pastime and remind recreational boaters of a few tips to ensure that they and their loved ones are safe and responsible while exploring our nation's waterways. And whereas every boater should always wear a U.S. Coast Guard approved life jacket while boating, because drowning remains the #1 cause of death for recreational boaters each year. And the majority of drowning victims in recreational boating accidents are not wearing a life jacket. And whereas on average, 670 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the U.S., approximately 3/4 of these fatalities caused by drowning. And whereas the vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors. And whereas a significant number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today had they worn their life jackets. And whereas today's life jackets are more comfortable, more attractive, and more wearable than styles of year past. Now therefore, I, Nick Cazzone, do hereby support the goals of the North American Safe Boating Campaign, Wear It, and proclaim May 17th through May 23rd, 2025 as National Safe Boating Week and the start of the year-round effort to promote safe boating. Further, I urge all those who boat to wear it and practice safe boating habits. And this evening, we have the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary Flotilla Commander Nystrom here. like to come up and say a few words about Safe Boating Week?
One of the primary missions of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary is the support of boating safety, which we do through a lot of education and other things that we do. So I'd like to thank you very much for recognizing Safe Boating Week and providing this proclamation for us. I really appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Commander. Thanks for all your hard work. Appreciate it.
Want me to give it? You want to?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you're on this track.
Okay. Do you want to grab a picture with the board?
Yeah, absolutely.
Might as well. Absolutely.
Do it.
Okay, we are moving on to item 7A. It was a presentation of the Green Champion Award to Dave Gorman. And we have Bob Wagner here from the Environmental Concerns Commission.
Thank you, President Kazone and Village Board. So the Villa Park Environmental Concerns Commission created the Green Champion Award back in 2016. And since 2016, we've presented to many deserving individuals. Bill Carges, Ken Jacobson, Angie and Tony Rojek, and other organizations. And it recognizes outstanding environmental achievements in the village, and we have a variety of categories like energy efficiency, renewable energy, conservation of natural resources, etc. So what I would like to do is I'd like to ask Commissioner Ellen Draconis and Commissioner Sandy Hill to come forward, tell us a little bit about this year's recipient, and to make the presentation.
I like that you all have green in your outfit, too. That's nice.
That was a plan. I'm Ellen. Here we have this for a man who's done a lot. So this, not yet. The nomination of Dave Gorman, a Villa Park resident, is a result of this man's deep commitment to doing what he can for the environment. That runs from his personal actions to his professional leadership as the Assistant Director of Public Works for Lombard. As one of his references stated, Dave is a tireless, focused, optimistic person, and this explains why he's able to accomplish so much. His visions carry him forward, and he invests in the future with a focus on the environment. This is evident in the programs he's developed professionally. And then there was this example when 3 years ago, Mr. Gorman led a group of 4 bike riders who biked their way to Washington, D.C. to promote the Citizens Climate Lobby's advocacy for a carbon fee and dividend act, rode their bikes, camped, And it's just an example of where his heart is. In Mr. Gorman's list of environmental actions, 4 items place him high on the list of those worthy of receiving the Green Champion Award for 2024.
First, Dave serves on the board of the Conservation Foundation, which has a mission to improve the health of northeastern Illinois communities by preserving and restoring open space and natural lands, protecting rivers and watersheds, and promoting stewardship of our environment. For the past 13 years, Dave has served as president of the DuPage River Salt Creek Work Group, which has a mission to improve the waterways of DuPage County. This group works to develop and implement a dynamic plan to attain water quality standards and designated uses per the Clean Water Act for Salt Creek, East Branch DuPage River, and West Branch DuPage River. In a totally different area, Dave is a board president of Working Bikes and is the founder of one of its partner programs, Bikes for Lesotho. Working Bikes collects and rehabs about 14,000 donated bikes annually to be given to local and international charities, including those in the Kingdom of Lesotho. Professionally, Dave has initiated 2 composting programs in Lombard for the residents, available either curbside or in the backyard, as well as a rain barrel program. Reimbursements for compost bins and rain barrels are available on a first-come, first-served basis annually to residents. Dave is also actively involved in his church, teaching, and mentoring youth. Dave.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be recognized for a long list that, she said tireless, I am tired. And it's a wonderful village, Villa Park. People get involved here. And in the various things that I try to lead, it also includes Kiwanis, and Hosanna, it's nice to see you get recognized tonight. We just try to facilitate organizations where people can get involved. And whether that's through the watershed group work that I do, the climate action work that I've been trying to do, we're still pushing, and it is a bipartisan solution. We'll get there. And I'm just very happy to live in Villa Park. I've seen that this is a place where people do get involved. They get to know their neighbors. The recycling event is coming up. We'll be there collecting bikes once again. The police department donates bikes to us. J&R Cycle, which is now Trek, they collect for us. So it's a wonderful community. I'm happy to be here, and I really thank you for this honor.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Take a picture.
Hey, Bob, did you want to come up and take a picture?
Sure. Up to you, Dave.
It's up to you, Dave.
Sure.
Okay.
We have one more?
All right. Having to move that podium.
Okay, we will move on with our meeting. We move on to item 9, our consent agenda. Our bill listings for the week of April 14th, 2025, in the amount of $200,871.96, and April 7th, 2025, in the amount of $424,111.02. Approval of the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting and the Village Board of Trustees meeting held on April 14th, 2025, and approval of a summary of the Coffee with the Board meeting of April 5th, 2025. And do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Trustee Kumar, do we have a second? We have Trustee Alfano.
I'll second.
Questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Herneke, please.
Okay, Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kosar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
President Casone?
Yes. Okay, item 10A is an ordinance for first reading. It's amending section 3-313A of the Village of Villa Park Municipal Code in order to set the maximum number of Class D and Class B liquor license classifications. Manager Harley.
This ordinance reduces the total number of Class D liquor licenses by 1 for U.S. Liquors license holder Shri Govardhan LLC, and reduces the total number of Class B liquor licenses by 1 for U.S. Liquor and Wine license holder Shri Madhav LLC, while simultaneously increasing the total number of Class B liquor licenses by 2 for U.S. Liquors license applicant Shri Janvi LLC, located at 609 West North Avenue, and for U.S. Liquor and Wine license applicant Shri Adya LLC, located at 140 West North Avenue. The current owner is selling both businesses, and the liquor licenses are not transferable, therefore the reduction and increase. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance. None of these licenses would be eligible for a gaming license.
Okay. Okay, this is for first reading unless someone wants to waive the first. Trustee Kumar?
I would like to make a motion to waive the first reading on this, as there are no gaming licenses possibilities with any of these licenses.
Okay, do we have a second on waiving the first reading? Trustee Cordova? Okay, any discussion, questions? Trustee Patrick?
I understand that we're not talking about anything regarding the gaming, but I hope it's important that moving forward, the board realizes the importance of having a second reading moving forward.
Okay, anyone else? Trustee Alfano?
Just for clarification, Class D and Class B liquor licenses are defined as what?
Well, Class B are sale of retail of alcoholic liquor in original packages only, not for consumption on the premises. And Class D is a full package grocery or drugstore. Sale of retail of alcoholic liquors only in original packages by persons engaged in the sale of foods and foodstuffs commonly known as grocers or groceries, and only as an incident to such drug or grocery business and not to be consumed on the premises.
Thank you.
Well, that's the basic difference. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, Clerk Herneke, this is to waive the first reading.
Yes. Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
No.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kosar?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
No.
President Casone?
Yes. Okay, so we will waive the first reading. Do we have a motion for the ordinance then? Trustee Kumar.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a second for the ordinance. Trustee
Yep.
Cordova, questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, we move on to item 12A, is an ordinance adopting the 2025 comprehensive plan for the present and future development and the redevelopment of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois. Manager Harline.
By passage of this ordinance, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Villa Park would hereby formally adopt the 2025 Comprehensive Plan. The comprehensive plan is for the present and future development or redevelopment of the Village of Villa Park. Staff recommends approval. The Director of Community Economic Development, Mark McLaughlin, is here if you have any additional questions. Otherwise, it's the board's pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Cordova.
I'll second.
Okay, questions, comments? Trustee Cordova.
I know we pushed this from last meeting to this one, but I didn't get any emails from anyone or any outreach at all, or I didn't see anyone chit chat. I don't know about anyone else, but, okay.
Yeah. Director McLaughlin, did you have any more comments the past 2 weeks?
No, we have not received any additional comments from, since the last meeting.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Patrick.
One thing that I'd like to say is that a comprehensive plan like this is an important document, an important tool moving forward for any municipality. It's basically a roadmap for the next 10 to 20-plus years for a municipality like ours. I want to thank staff, especially Director McLaughlin. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into this, years of planning and work towards something like this. And this is just a copy, but it is a good plan. So congratulations, great work.
Anyone else? Okay, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, item 12B is an ordinance adopting salary ranges for certain Village of Villa Park officers and employees not subject to collective bargaining. Manager Harline.
This ordinance would establish the salaries and/or salary ranges for certain village officers and employees who are not subject to collective bargaining effective May 1, 2025, as set forth in Exhibit A attached to the ordinance. The best practice is for the Board of Trustees to formally adopt the range and wage increases, although the amounts are already provided for in the budget. Staff recommends adoption of the ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Kumar, second. Trustee Alfano, any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Item 13A is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a contract with Schroeder Asphalt Services, Inc. of Huntley, Illinois, for construction of the Harvard Avenue improvements from Plymouth to Ridge in the amount not to exceed $1,322,687.01. Manager Harline.
This resolution authorizes the village president to execute a contract for the construction of Harvard Avenue improvements, Plymouth to Ridge. The project was publicly advertised and competitively bid, and with the bid opening held on April 15, 2025. The village received received three bids, with the lowest responsible bid submitted by Schroeder Asphalt Services, Inc. of Huntley, Illinois, in the amount of $1,322,687.01. Staff recommends approval of the resolution to award a contract to Schroeder Asphalt Services, Inc. for the construction of Howard Avenue improvements for an amount not to exceed $1,322,687.01. Public Works Director Michael Guerra is here if you have any additional questions or comments about this project.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Okay, second by Trustee Kumar. Questions, comments? Just a quick question to the director. Only three bids on this one?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
However, I'd say the bids came back to our original budget proposal
Okay.
before COVID inflation. So we did receive favorable bids, even though we only had three,
Good.
but they were effective.
Good, thank you. Trustee Alfano.
Yes, I did have someone reach out with the question of if someone could define the responsible bid, the lowest responsible bid, what the definition of responsible would be in this case.
So that's typically, we go through the bids to make sure that the bid was quantified, that they didn't make any mistakes. We can waive some mistakes, but that we submitted all the forms. That means that they're responsible, and then additionally, if they're qualified in the sense of, there's certain restrictions that can apply, like if they have outstanding lawsuits, not the ability to perform the work, those sort of things. So that's where that comes in. It's kind of a legal term. I don't know if Attorney Wolf can correct me, but it's more of a legal status, meaning that they submitted all the forms necessary and they're able to perform the work as bid.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, in addition, they're deemed in good standing with the state of Illinois. They haven't been disqualified as a bidder from the state of Illinois, so those are also additional components.
Okay, thank you. I had a resident who that would affect asking about that, so thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Clerk Kornecki.
Okay, Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, item 13B is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving an engineering services agreement with V3 Companies Limited of Woodridge, Illinois, for Phase 3 construction engineering of the Harvard Avenue Improvement Project from Plymouth to Ridge in amount not to exceed $167,816.62. Manager Harline.
This resolution authorizes the village president to execute an agreement with V3 Companies Limited of Woodridge, Illinois for Phase 3 construction engineering of the Harvard Avenue Improvement Project from Plymouth to Ridge in an amount not to exceed $167,816.62. Staff recommends approval of the resolution. Again, Director Guerra is here. And if you don't mind, when it's appropriate, recognized by the President, if you could just sort of give an overview of some of the other projects we've done north of the railroad tracks to kind of give people sort of we have done a few projects up there. I know there's still work to be done, but I just, we get kicked around a little bit for saying we never do stuff up there, but we've been working on several projects these last few years. So.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion for resolution? Trustee Kumar? Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Patrick? Any questions or comments? Dr. Guerra, would you like to give a quick
Yeah, I probably
rundown?
should have preloaded. I forgot the manager.
I should have reminded you just when we met this afternoon, but.
Yes, since my time here, we've done several projects on the north side. Let me see if I can pull it up on our webpage. That sometimes pictures are better than all my descriptions.
And this also helps people know how to search our website too. So
Give me a moment.
Some of it is in the comprehensive plan too. Some of this information.
Apologize.
Go west.
Live.
Oak Park, Villa Park, it was pretty close.
Why is it not coming up?
Still too far.
Okay. Should be.
Well, that was a good thought. There we go. There we go.
Touchscreens are not great when you have fat fingers.
Here we go.
We'll rehearse more next time.
Not overly familiar with this computer, but as you can see, we've done several projects. Not judging anymore. Since our time here, my time, I know since 2020, we've resurfaced both Vermont and Plymouth Avenue from Ardmore to Villa. Those projects were done. One of them was done with DCO grant money. The other was in-house with Streets 2020. They were kind of done in the early 20s or 2020 timeframe. So those were resurfaced. Additionally, we've done 3rd Avenue from, I believe that's Terrace up to Division. That was a reconstruction and I believe a sewer separation project. We've done Yale from Jefferson Pool up to Plymouth. That was a water main and road I'm sorry. Yale has gone from Plymouth up to Ridge. And that was a water remain construction, road replacement project. Harvard has been done from Jefferson Pool up to Plymouth. Obviously, we just awarded the second section tonight, which would complete that section of roadway with a water main replacement and reconstruction. And then depending on how you deem the north side, we've done the Maple area where that was the whole separation of sewers. And most of the roads were reconstructed, if not overlaid, on the north side. And then historically before, we've done Division Street. We did Wisconsin last year with the resurfacing. And we've done a few of the, I can't remember the exact roads that we did with the resurfacing in 2023, which I believe was Illinois. Those were just north of St. Charles. So we've done a lot of that work in those projects. Historically, we've done the ABC water main replacement. That was historically bad water main. And we still, but we do have several more plans in the works currently to help replace roadways and infrastructure up in that area. But it's a very quick, I apologize for my lack of computer skills with this. But we do have this on our website that we kind of shows. If I can zoom out without blowing it up, there is kind of a legend with this, but it doesn't want to function for me. That residents can go online. It's under the Public Works Department page under Engineering Construction Projects, where you can find the listing of the projects that have been completed. And additionally, we do have, I believe, the listing of the referendum streets and the status of all those roads along on that webpage as well. We'll be building off of that with the new board, hopefully present in the near future, maybe the upcoming future plans for infrastructure, just to provide that information for new board members and current board members as well.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Trustee Kumar.
I think the college streets, you've been kind of addressing them one by one. I think going up next to North School, a lot of the stuff slowly addressing, because it's pretty bad up there next to the school. Michigan, I think, is one that's kind of probably coming up that's pretty bad.
Michigan.
And I hear a lot about that. And then Wisconsin on the south side, I hear a lot about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is not great as well. So
Wisconsin, Yale.
those two are, I think, possibly what I saw as not great. So these are things that need to kind of be on the docket, and we are looking, I do see you're kind of addressing in a very methodical way everything, and I think that's the information that people want to hear.
Correct. I think the Michigan, we did do the CDBG funding where we were able to do one block. Unfortunately, that's the limits of the census blocks. That's why we had to stop at Plymouth. This is the funding level, but we are looking at probably in the next fiscal year, starting the design for the remainder of Michigan and the remainder of Iowa for the northern sections. The southern section of Wisconsin is currently in design and should be completed by the end of the year. That is pending EPA funding because we need some additional funding to help for the sewer separation.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Konecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Item 13C is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a contract with Reindeers of Mundelein, Illinois, through Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing for the purchase of a Toro Groundmaster 4000D in the amount of $93,995. Manager Harline.
This resolution authorizes the village manager to execute a purchase order on all documents necessary to issue a purchase order to obtain a Toro Groundmaster 4000D rotary mower. The mower will include a universal sunshade four-wheel drive and other features listed on quote Q133703 through Cooperative Purchasing Organization. Rangers of Mundelein, Illinois is the Toro dealer for Sourcewell agent for this machine. The price for the machine is $93,995. Funds will be taken from the equipment fund capital outlay account number 11-202-540102. Staff recommends approval of the resolution.
Yeah, thank you. Okay,
And-
do we have, yeah.
I'm sorry, and I was going to say that Brian Roach is here if you have any questions. He's our superintendent of parks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Cordova? Yep. We have a second. Trustee Kumar? Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Reinecke, please.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Item 13D is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a contract with TK Elevator Corporation of Carroll Stream, Illinois, through Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing for the purchase of elevator modernization in an amount of $164,738. Manager Harline.
This resolution authorizes and directs the village manager to execute a contract with TK Elevator Corporation for the modernization of the Village Hall elevator as listed on proposal 2024-2, 108-8306 through the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Organization. TK Elevator Corporation of Carroll Stream, Illinois is the authorized Sourcewell agent for this equipment. The price for the modernization is $164,738. Funds will be taken from the building fund capital outlay account number 11-202-540102. Staff recommends approval of this resolution. It will put the elevator out of commission for some time, and we may want to discuss a variety of different options on how that will affect the public, or if we, one other thing you can consider is moving some of our meetings, but that will be.
Okay.
And,
We can discuss
that's something we can discuss. And how soon would they get started with that, Brian? If I could, would they
let's
get a
go to-
motion
yeah.
first, sorry.
Okay, do we have a motion, Trustee Kumar? Do we have a second? Trustee Cordova?
Yeah.
Okay. Question, Brian, when do you think this would start? And how long would it take?
Thank you. Once contracts were signed and we got it back to them, they would start procuring materials and things almost right away. So it would take months, I think. It was listed in the proposal, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to.
21 to 25.
Weeks.
Yeah, 21 to
6
25.
months about, approximately. So the actual construction of the elevator would take approximately 4 to 6 weeks. They have a lot of components that they've assembled ahead of time, which reduces the time, but their estimate is 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, good, thank you. One thing I wanted to point out too, and I meant to do that on 13D, there, as you can see on here for residents and people in the audience here, there is no bidding that the village did. This is through Sourcewell Cooperative. Sourcewell does the bidding. We give them their specifications, and then they send it out for bid, and they give us the bid, and then we'll approve it. So you may not see how many bids we got on this, but it's through Sourcewell Cooperative, and we've been using them for a long time, so.
Correct.
Trustee Kumar.
So do we know how many bids are required by Sourcewell, or is there any information from Sourcewell? Just curious, because you made that statement.
Yeah, they go through a cooperative, they go through a bidding process, and I believe that because they're operating under the state contract rules for the different states, that they're looking for at least 3 competitive bids on each piece of equipment. It's a little different with when you're seeking bids for time and materials bids, but so they may end up with more than one, but there's basically one company that can do this, so they provided a Sourcewell bid, and that's, so they're giving a better price because they know that they'll get business through Sourcewell than they would give you probably if you went directly to them.
Yeah, Trustee Kumar.
So I'm confused. What does the modernization mean? Are we changing the elevator to a new one? Are we just upgrading the elevator? I'm a little confused. I think the residents would like to know.
The main modernization is the mechanical and electrical components of the elevator. So if we don't modernize that, they'll stop making parts, we won't be able to find them, and the elevator will be non-operational, so.
And when it breaks, there won't be, we will,
Mechanical and electrical is the modernization, but it will also change the interior of the cab, the lighting, the ceiling, the wall paneling, handrails and stuff like that. And all the components will be brought up to accessible standards too, so they'll meet the current ADA requirements and everything like that.
Trustee Patrick?
My question is, if this elevator is going to be out for 6 months, when we hold our meetings here, I don't believe that makes us ADA compliant. So that means that we would have to, in fact, have meetings at an alternate location because it's not accessible.
Manager Harley.
two quick things. One, I believe you're correct, so we will have approximately 17 to 19 weeks to come up with a solution while they order stuff. But the elevator downtime should be 4 to 6 weeks because of the way that they're doing it. So it shouldn't only be a few meetings, not 4 to 6 months total.
Okay. Where are you proposing that are we going to have these? Is our alternate the rec center?
That would be certainly a possibility. That was my first thing that came to my mind. So.
Trustee Cordova?
Just to reiterate, so the timeline for this project is 21, 25 weeks following execution of the contracts, and then we have that much time, so 20, 21 and 25 weeks to figure out how long or where we'll need to be for 4 to 6 weeks, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Well, 17 to 19. So 17 plus 4 is 21. 19 plus 6 is 25.
Got
So
it.
that's the.
Yeah. So it's not 25 and then another 4 to 6. I got it.
Right.
So we have some time.
Yeah. And Matt said he would give his house too, so he's got a nice backyard.
I don't think it's. I really don't think our house is ADA accessible.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, Clerk Renecki, please.
Okay, trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Item 13E, thanks, Brian, by the way. Thank you for your time. 13E is a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police Patrol Division. Manager Harline.
This resolution would authorize the village president and village manager to execute a collective bargaining agreement between the Village of Willow Park, Illinois, and the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council. Staff recommends approval of the resolution. I think that we have come to an agreement that's going to, it will catch us up with many of the other police forces in the area. I think it will maintain the excellent police force that we have. And we budgeted for a significant increase this year, so we'll be able to squeeze this in. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Okay, questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Renecki, please.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Item 13F is a resolution adopting a paid parental leave policy for employees of the Village of Villa Park. Manager Harline.
This proposed resolution would adopt a paid parental leave policy for eligible employees as designated in the policy. This policy has an effective date of May 1, 2025. As written, staff recommends adopting the resolution if the board wants to establish a paid parental leave policy. Our acting or interim assistant village manager, Liz Scott, is here. She crafted much of this and did a lot of the research, and she's here to answer questions. I understand that there's an interest in possibly postponing this. If we do, we could postpone it to the 12th, but it's just one more week to the 19th. I can't remember what the suggestion was. 12th is largely ceremonial, so if you don't mind moving it to the 19th, that would be my preference. And you can be made retroactive if that is it would have an effect. So,
Okay.
so that I'm sorry, that's all I have to say.
Do you want to say something? Okay. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Alfano,
Yes, I'll make that motion.
for the resolution? Okay. Trustee Kumar?
I'm seconding.
This is for the resolution. We're going to vote on it tonight.
Well, no, we have discussion and then we can postpone.
Yeah. It's okay, you get the hang of it. Sorry.
So, once we have discussion, we'll make a resolution to postpone if we want to.
Okay, all right. Any questions or comments? Trustee Alfano.
Yes, I would like to postpone this until, I'll say May 19th. Manager Harline, I'm okay with that, to keep May 12th fairly ceremonious.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Do we have a?
Well, I want to have discussion first. Shouldn't we have discussion first?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
you
can
may.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's discussion on it
Okay.
until we vote, yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Trustee Kumar.
Can we get up that spreadsheet up there, if possible, Liz? The little summary of the points. I have some questions about the liability due to accrued paid leave. What are we talking about? Is that like like work, that they didn't, leave that they didn't take, that they will take for this purpose? Is that from that, or where does that come from? Yes, I can. Yeah.
All right, so we have been working on this policy since I began about 4 weeks ago. One second, I'm not sure how.
I don't know, I think you have to get it on that computer.
Yeah, I don't know how to pull it up on here.
It's page 478 of the
packet.
Of the packet. If you pull up the packet, it's on page 478.
I can pull it up from, what was on here? Just the packet? Oh. Okay. But we can put, okay, so we can pull it up from the website then. No, it's okay, because I just. Would I be able to please get
Here.
a little bit of this is my first time doing this, I apologize.
No worries. No worries. They're doing better than us.
I don't know.
In the classroom.
My approach was not much better, but.
There we go.
The policy, this one.
Yeah, it's on
Yes, the
page
summary.
478. The agenda.
Yeah, no,
You can just,
that's the policy, but there was the memo. Yes, the memo attached to it.
yeah, that
Oh,
thing.
okay.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. Thank you very much for that. I apologize for the delay. Okay, so when we're looking at the cost analysis, this is going to be an increase to our total compensation package for the employees, right? So I did an analysis based on the last 3 years of employees who have been out on leave, and I was extrapolating to see what it would be after we would implement the policy, because you would expect that there would be an increase in the benefit use. So we're looking at what the policy would be if an employee were to go out on leave to bond with a child under the Family Medical Leave Act, which would be up to 12 weeks unpaid, versus if we were going to compensate them for the full 12 weeks or 8 weeks. Because typically an employee would be using their vacation, sick, or any other PTO that they have. If we are then adding this to their total compensation package, that would be listed as a liability that we would still have, because that is something that can be paid out to an employee upon termination, those PTO benefits. So in terms of the direct wages, I mean, that's pretty straightforward, because if the employee was out on unpaid medical leave, then they would be unpaid, versus if we were going to be compensating them. And that's based on the average pulled from the employees from the last 3 years. And then that's same for the liability, or same for the withholding, or not the withholding, excuse me, the state and federal expenses that we have to pay on those payroll wages. Temporary staffing, I was very conservative on that number, just to determine if we would have one coverage. We would only need to hire one consultant or contract worker to come in to cover for those, for that employee. And then, as we discussed, the liability would be any outstanding vacation, sick, floating holidays, or personal leave that would have been used in lieu of this leave that we would still have on our accounting books. So this is looking at if one of the parents was out on leave unpaid versus if we compensated them. So in terms of where this would come from the budget, that is something that we would review and have to discuss as to where the items could already be covered in the budget versus where, if there is any additional outstanding, that the board would like us to pull it from. So that would require a little bit further.
So the liability due to amount paid, that's PTO that they could take then or take it any time anyway.
Yes.
It's not actually a product of this particular, I mean, a lot of people do take it, but they
Yes.
can take it now, they can take it, they're gonna have to be paid that irrespective of the maternity leave, correct?
There is a certain amount of leeway in terms of rollover or of them losing the balance at the end of the year. So if they were paid, let's say they had 5 weeks of vacation, and that was something that they would have had on the books, and we gave them this paid parental leave. If they were to leave, that would be a expense that we would have to pay out to the employee at that time. So we are looking at anything that we would have to possibly pay out. So we want to make sure that we have everything covered in that situation.
So if we say we go with I'm just trying to work through the numbers.
Sure,
8 weeks of paid parental leave.
Yes.
Then a person could still have 4 more weeks of their regular vacation or whatever
Yes.
that they have accrued, which would give them a total of 12 weeks for the child if they needed to, if we didn't go for the 12 weeks, correct?
Yes, and
the 12 weeks actually takes them up to almost, they could have a maximum of up to, let's say, 16. I don't know, depends on how long they've been working, correct, what their vacation time is.
Well, we actually worked with Village Attorney Wolf on drafting this policy. And in the policy, we wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to extend over a certain period so that someone could be able to add on sick, vacation, and be out for 16, 18, 20 weeks. So that's why we wanted to make sure that it was more limited.
Just so, I think, Assistant Village Manager Scott explained this, but I just kind of as sometimes repetition is a better teacher than, is the best teacher. So if we realize that they're going to be there either way, and they're going to get paid either on leave or paid at the desk or at the work site. But when they come back, they will either have spent sick leave and vacation, et cetera, or they will not. And so that sick leave and vacation is still on the books. Now, vacation expires, but if they, so there will be, if they use all their vacation and don't get to carry some over, it may not be quite this costly if they give up vacation because they took parental leave, but that sick leave stays on the books until they retire, and depending on how much they have at the end, that can be reimbursed from IMRF, sorry. And the cost then will, of course, be higher than it is now, but, you could get into all sorts of financial games if you...
Because I assume that at this point, before we implement this policy, people have been using
sick leave and
sick
vacation.
leave and
or-
all of that to, take care of their children at this point. 'Cause
Or
that's
leave
their
without
only-
pay if they,
Unpaid,
Huh?
yes, or unpaid.
Or
Yes, 'cause
unpaid,
they get unpaid.
they're either unpaid or they're using their sick leave. to address what needs to be addressed when you have a child. I'm just,
Yes. And
putting
that's
it out.
why-
Yeah, and so, but it's more a question of now, how much can they maximally get? And how long will they be out, and how do we address that for me? Because if I'm gonna be a new mom, I'm gonna wanna stay with my child as long as possible. So I understand how that thought process is, and we have families that have a mom and dad working in the same village, so we have one of them out, and a lot of times, with a lot of my friends, and when I was doing it, either one of us would take paternity leave and the other one would take it, just so we could cover it if we didn't have grandma and grandpa coming from some other country to help, if that happened. So that happens all the time. Not everybody has that resource. So the question is, how much can we afford? That's why I wanted to have this discussion a little bit about where the money comes from, and, a good picture of what it's gonna cost us and how much we can afford and what is recommended.
Trustee Alfano.
So I'm not sure if this is going to be a legal question or an HR question. Is this the only thing that we're limited to, or what is the baseline for anything that we might want to offer? Because I know that we see, if you look at school districts, if you look at park districts, if you look at all of these different places, you see just a wealth of different types of leave. So we're not kind of stuck with just one model, right?
Correct, that's correct. These are going to be policy decisions of this board. So the original direction was to mimic the DuPage County's leave policy. We did do that following the completion of the draft policy for this board's consideration. The county board did amend their policy, making it a little bit slightly easier to qualify and be eligible, but also restricting a bit in the sense that it's only applicable to non-probationary employees. So those are policy decisions, all that this board can make, and you are not confined to the policy before you or other policies, but those are your decisions.
And that's one of the reasons why I have asked to postpone that, because I think that it's not just like a cookie cutter situation. I really do think that we need to think about, in a think tank situation, what would work best for us then if we don't really have any legal guidelines that we have to follow. So if we do get to create this, then we do get to create it and create it for what fits for us. And I think that shouldn't be rushed. I would even ask that we maybe do a cow, or we do, so I'm not sure if that's an executive session issue where we can kind of have that. I'm not sure if that would qualify for executive session, but to have those moments where we can just put things out on the table and say, well, what about this? What about this? I think that when we look at it in that perspective, we would serve not just our staff, but our budget and our village well.
So from an executive session standpoint, this wouldn't qualify for a discussion this in closed session, but you can have the discussion in open session at a committee of the whole if that's, or at a board meeting if you want as well, for discussion only.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Kumar.
I would be in favor of having a special committee of the whole for this particular issue. I think we need to vet it out. It is a large liability as well as a large benefit for our employees. So we want both to satisfy the benefit, but we don't want to go broke as a village. So we have to think that through as well. So let's really carefully kind of address this issue.
Okay. Trustee Patrick.
I also agree with what's being said down there. When presented with information on the board, I would like to see the comparisons of DuPage County in particular, and any other municipalities or government bodies that you might have used to help create this.
Just go over.
I do want to just kind of say it just out loud here. We should probably also, when we have this conversation, think about retroing it for the year. I know we can retro, if we're going to do it, we should do it right and take a little bit of time to do it, so that if we do delay it and whatever happens, those folks can still get the benefit.
Trustee Kumar.
I'm absolutely in favor of that. I think that we need to be consistent with our employee benefits, and that retroing will make that a consistent process.
Okay.
If I may, thank you, President Kazone. And when you're talking about retroing for the year, are you talking about calendar year or what used to be the old fiscal year, May 1, where most of the contracts start? And then and by that, do you mean if somebody had been, there are people that would be affected by this, that they can exchange one leave for another leave retroactively? I assume we can do that legally.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and these are discussions that the board can have and decisions that the board can make. However, you want the retroactivity to apply, you have the option, if someone did take a maternity leave or parental time and use their benefit time, you have the option to reimburse their benefit time banks and then allow them additional leave. If there's anything remaining, you have the option to allow this to move forward prospectively. So like this policy is drafted to allow for paid parental leave time to be taken within 6 months from the date that the child is born. You can extend that, or, these are policy decisions the board can make, and you have options.
Trustee Alfano.
Thank you. One more question, and this is probably more of another legal question. Attorney Wolf, when we are looking at this as a policy, how does that affect our union contracts? Would that be a memo of understanding? Would it be an MOU?
So this is something that you would, I believe a lot of your collective bargaining agreements have Me Too provisions.
Okay.
So they would get the benefit of the policy. The village has the obligation of notifying the unions that, okay, we've adopted this policy. At that point, the union can request whether or not they'd like to bargain further on this policy, but this is an added benefit. This policy does not exclude collective bargaining members, so this is applicable to all employees of the village. So there is a process that we would take after the policy is drafted. But
Thank you.
Trustee Patrick.
I know that coming up, we're talking about considering moving the committee of the whole to from May 12th. I would like to see this at a committee of the whole meeting in the first week of June. If we are going to be delaying the committee of the whole for the month of May, going right into the May 19th meeting, say our committee of the whole meeting for the cow should be our first meeting in June.
Okay. Okay. Any other discussion? Trustee Kumar.
Is it possible to have a committee with the whole meeting on May 19th instead of May 12th?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's what Manager Harline was talking about.
So could we bring this forth in the committee of the meeting on May 19th
Yep.
before we have this discussion? Yes.
Good, yeah. It's about, whatever,
Okay, so then I-
whatever. There's a motion for this resolution right now, but that can be, amended at all. Trustee.
I would like to also add that we don't have the vote on that the same night, that we actually allow for that discussion.
Okay.
And then postpone any voting for a later date.
Could we put that in unfinished business?
we could have a motion to postpone indefinitely, if, so that it would allow time for the committee of the whole and future discussions, if that's what this board would like. So instead of having the motion postpone to a date certain, it could be indefinitely until the policy is ready to come before the board.
Okay.
Trustee Alfano.
So can I make that amendment now? Okay, so let's make that to a point of indefinite, or a time indefinite?
Yes.
So there's a motion to postpone 13F, time indefinite, at a later date. Do we have a second? Trustee Patrick?
I'd like to second that.
Okay. Questions or comments on that? Trustee Patrick?
We're still allowing for the cow on the 19th, then, am I getting that correct? Okay.
Yeah, we can discuss that at 15A.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hey, Clerk Kornecki, this is to postpone indefinitely, item 13F.
Right, trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Item 13G is a resolution approving and ratifying the execution of an employee leasing agreement between MGT Impact Solutions LLC and the Village of Villa Park for the interim assistant village manager. Manager Harline.
Yes, this resolution authorizes the village manager to execute an employee leasing agreement with MGT Impact Solutions LLC to continue the engagement of Elizabeth Liz Scott as the interim assistant village manager, to perform the duties of the interim assistant village manager until a new one is appointed, or the services of the interim are no longer needed. Staff recommends approval of the resolution. My plan is to evaluate and decide if I want to make any modifications to the assistant village manager ordinance, and in that time, and then also go out. As when we hired Chuck Howard as the finance director, he had been a contract interim, and then we did a search for a finance director, and we found that the best candidate was here. So then we hired him on. He remained an MGT employee, or Gov Temps as we called then. And I won't go into too much detail because it made more sense based on how close he was to a final retirement date. That would not necessarily be the way we would proceed here. So it could be that we would be looking to hire as an employee, whether it was, I mean, if it wasn't Liz Scott, then I would assume we would hire just as an employee. But my preference would be that whichever way we go, it would be an employee of the village. And so we would do we would do a search, and she could be, if she wants to be, a candidate. Sorry to kind of put that right out there. But so those are the way, that's the process that we'll be coming back for with the final details for the board. But tonight, we're getting close to $25,000 before May 12th or May 19th. So I'd prefer that the board approve her contract, and so that we, because at this point it's appropriate for me to bring it back to the board for approval. Remember, the contract includes more than salary. It is all the rest of the expenses that MGT takes on. So,
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion? Trustee Kumar? Have a second? Trustee Cordova? Any questions or comments? Trustee Alfano?
I do have some questions. I was under the impression, and this may be something I misunderstood. I thought that this was a contract interim HR, not an assistant village manager.
that was what I started out as HR director, but she actually has all the qualifications for the assistant village manager position. We have an established village manager position, assistant village manager position. I spoke with Attorney Wolf, and it's simpler just to qualify it as there, to put it that way. So.
I also have a couple of other things. I would like to postpone this as well, and the biggest reason is because the contract that I see here is not, I think, the contract that we're being asked to vote on. I think that the contract that I see here is actually for Director Howard.
There are two attachments. The first attachment is for Liz's contract, and the second one is for the full contract, which includes his attachment, which was for Director Howard. Let me.
Can you provide clarity as to why we have both of those, please?
I would give you a comparison, but the contract for Director Howard also includes the underlying language with MGT. So what they sent was the amount for Liz Scott, but which is the first attachment.
Okay.
So you see the first attachment is just one page, and it's unsigned at this point. And then beyond that is the entire employee leasing agreement, and that is the contract we signed for, that includes Director Howard, and then this is an attachment essentially to that base contract. I could have cut out his contract, but it also gives you a chance to see a comparison between the two months.
I'm still gonna ask that we postpone this. I would like to see the contract that we are actually going into. I think what I hear you say is that it's in comparison, it's comparable to the one that you have here.
No, I'm
Or
saying this
it
is an
in addition
attachment to the contract that you
So
have
it's like
there.
a,
Yeah.
it's an amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like we're adding on to the existing full contract, one more additional employee.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
it does. That makes a little bit more sense. I wasn't
Okay.
sure. That's not how I read that at first.
Oh, okay.
Another question that I have is $95 an hour is the rate for our assistant village manager?
That includes the other costs associated with it. So the actual cost is somewhere closer to 2/3 of the whole cost. So,
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, so there's another, it's a little bit more than a third added on
Yeah.
for,
Because I see that it's a different
Insurance.
cost for Director Howard.
yeah,
so
his
that's
is more,
why-
yeah, yeah. His reimbursement is more for the position, the years of service that's there.
Another question, sorry, I have lots of questions today. Tell me about if we decide to not fulfill the contract all the way through the contract date. So I know that it goes until August, but let's say that we don't want to go until August, or let's say that we want to extend, so either way, before or after. If we want to limit it and cut it off early, or if we want to extend it past what is being proposed. Can you talk more about that?
Well, to cut it off, before that, there's a 30 days advanced notice, written notice. And then to extend it, we could, we'd bring it back to the board because this is the authorization that you've given me. This goes to January 2026, so that would be built into next year's budget too, if we were looking at extending it past that. So that, we'd bring back another extension.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
What provision are we having? Because this is like going through a temporary working situation, it looks like, with these contracts. What provision are we to permanently fill this position? What are we thinking about?
That's what I would, okay, so we would go
You
through.
discussed that a little
Yeah,
bit. I just want a little bit more verification on that.
We would go over it with, President-elect President Patrick, as he will be then, discussing the options and moving forward with assume with a job description, or update the job description, put out an advertisement and see candidates, and then choose the best candidate. A standard candidate search. Which is what we did when we hired Finance Director Howard.
Okay. Okay, so we will have a similar process, but what happens to this particular contract then, if we either hire her or someone else?
Well, if we hire her before the end of the contract, we would give MGT notice, and there would be a 30-day notice period, and then she'd just transfer from being a contract employee to being a village employee. There is a small fee that MGT would, like a finder's fee. I will find out what that is exactly. And then if she were not the person chosen, then there would be, a 30-day notice, and then we would bring aboard the new candidate.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, Clerk Renecki, please.
Okay, trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Cordova,
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, item 14, unfinished business. I don't believe we have any this evening. Item 15A is new business, considering moving or canceling the committee of the whole on May 12th, 2025.
President Consol?
Yeah.
President.
I did have new, or unfinished business.
Oh, okay, I'm
you
sorry.
don't mind.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know that we have been talking about budgets. We have something coming up with maternity leave. At this point, I'm good with a PDF copy of the budget. Can we please have one here on Friday so I can pick it up on Saturday
I will
morning?
do-
I really would like to see
I
that.
understand that, I understand. We still have some conversion issues, which I thought we had taken care of, but we have not, so I hope so. because
Okay.
PDF we can produce as soon as we get it done, but we have got to,
Anything at this point.
I know.
We have a draft.
Trust
And
me.
I want to also know if we are in compliance. Is there any, we're not out of compliance on any state mandates to
not
have
that
that
I'm aware
posted,
of.
correct?
I will give you an answer.
Okay, I'd appreciate that, or maybe Attorney Wolf can address that.
I'll work with the manager and ensure that, and we'll make sure to follow up.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else, unfinished business? Okay, item 15A is moving or canceling committee of the whole on May 12th, 2025. I think we've had a lot of discussion about moving the committee of the whole to May 19th, 2025. Does anyone want to make a motion? Trustee Kumar.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to move this committee of the whole to May 19th. And there's a couple of things I do want to have discussion on the paid paternity leave. I do know there is also that discussion about the train.
Okay, well, let's start with the motion, and then we can discuss.
I'll make
Okay.
that I would like to make a motion to move the committee of the whole meeting from May 12th, 2025 to May 19th, 2025.
Okay, trustee Alfano.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have discussion. Okay, now you can go.
Yes, and I would like to add to that committee of the whole, and I know the new president will be in at that point, two things. One being a discussion of the paid paternity leave, and second being a discussion of the underpass, said overpass, and the train station, and what the study.
Grade separation.
Grade separation study, what we need to do with that.
Okay. Trustee Alfano.
I would like to agree with Trustee Kumar. I'd like to hear what Croy Railroad Group and Link Things has to say as well. If we can add that to the 19th, I would appreciate that. That's for the grade separation.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Reneke, this is to move committee of the whole meeting to May 19th, 2025.
Yes, trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Casal?
Yes. Okay, item 16, the Village Commission reports, acceptance of the minutes of the Environmental Concerns Commission meeting held on February 27th, 2025. Acceptance of the minutes of the Environmental Concerns Commission Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit meeting held on February 27th, 2025. And acceptance of the minutes of the Community Fund Commission meeting held on February 25th, 2025. And those minutes are in your package. Item 17 is our village clerk's report.
No report, thank you.
Okay, village trustees report. We'll start on my left. Trustee Alfano.
Thank you. Good evening. I am in awe of and I am inspired by my neighbors and people that I've met here in Villa Park. And as always, I'm honored to have the responsibility to represent the village as one of your trustees. As I listened today to Dave Gorman's extensive work, I can see that it was a great choice for a Green Champion Award, and I'm honored to be in the same village as somebody like Dave Gorman, who worked so hard to try to make our world, not just our village, but our world a better place. So thank you, Dave, and congratulations again. I wanted to thank everybody who came out to the Prairie Path cleanup this past Saturday for helping to keep our village looking beautiful. Congratulations to Villa Park Baseball on a successful opening day. I wasn't able to be there. I missed it, but I know it was a beautiful day for baseball. Congratulations to the artists in District 45 here in Villa Park. They had a beautiful art show. There's a lot of talent in our community. And likewise, congratulations to the Jackson Middle School Orchestra and Band for their superior performances at the IGSMA State Performance. They qualified back in March, and they performed this past Saturday. And I would also like to thank D45 Board and Administration for supporting the arts in our community. I really do believe that brings a vitality to our community, just like the sports and recreation does. Thank you, as always, to our police department and to our fire department for keeping us safe. I know it's been busy. I've been hearing some things have been going on, so thank you very much for keeping us safe. And I believe that's all that I have this evening.
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
I would like to piggyback on Trustee Alfano's comment on Dave Gorman. I'm very proud to be a resident with such a accomplished individual in our town. So that is something I'd like to say. I'd also like to give a shout out to just someone who I do not know who it is, who was with their son on Monday cleaning up next to and picking up all sorts of cans and garbage next to the Salt Creek basin. I don't know who it is. This man was out with his child picking up the mess just to do so. So whoever it is, a shout out to you from the Village of Villa Park for keeping our place clean just to keep our place clean. So thank you for that. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Corcoran?
No report this week,
Okay,
Mr. President.
Trustee Patrick?
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the Villa Park Youth Baseball League for giving me the honor of being able to throw out the first pitch on opening day. I really do appreciate it. Villa Park Youth Baseball League is a staple of our community, and they are doing a really good job. It was a great event. I just want to thank them again for having me and giving me that honor. That's all I have.
Okay, Trustee Cordova?
This is your last meeting, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. I just want to say thank you to both you and Hosanna. You guys have spent a tremendous amount of time in this community, and it would be remiss with not mentioning that. So,
thank you.
Nick, we've known, I'm not going to go into the whole thing because I know we have some other stuff, but I've known you for a long time. You were a village liaison, or you were the liaison when I was on Parks and Rec. Kind of taught me a lot of stuff, and it's nice to see you, move into not only trust me into a trustee, but then to village president. So thank you for your time. I mean, I know this is mainly a thankless job, as well as you, Hosanna, that the years and years that you guys have both put into this has been a huge piece of Villa Park. There's a couple decades between you two, 3 decades at least, of your time here. So just a thank you. I appreciate your time, and hopefully we have some more time to celebrate. I know we have a couple things coming up, but yes, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Trustee Kozar?
No report tonight.
Okay, move on to the village president's report. Appreciate the kind words, trustee. May 3rd, this Saturday, will be Coffee with the Board, 9 o'clock up here in the COW room. May 17th, as Bob Wagner had said earlier, is Spring Sweep. So that will be 2 weeks from Saturday here on Home Street. So stack up all your recyclables and all your, especially your paper. I think that's one of the biggest operations that go on that day is the shredding of documents. So, bring those out here. I agree with Trustee Patrick. I was also invited to throw out the first pitch, and it was really great to see all the kids out there. It was a little chilly, but, kids, it doesn't bother them. They just love to play ball. And I was able to hit the catcher. I didn't bounce the ball in, so that was a good thing. And Trustee Patrick had a nice one right over the plate, so that was a good toss. That's really about all I have. Yes, I would like to say it's been a pleasure working as a trustee and as president of Villa Park. I will be here, obviously here at the next meeting to turn it over to the new board, but I really appreciate it. It's been a great experience, and tried to do my best for the village. Whatever's best for the village is what I tried to get done. So thank you for your confidence in me. Appreciate it. Okay, move on to the village manager's report.
Well, the first, I would start with Chuck Howard with there's a financial report in your packet, and I don't know if you wanted to highlight some of those items and take some. Please.
There are a lot of things in there, but just some of the trends that I'd like to at least speak to as we look at how we're going to fund extra things in, that weren't considered in our budget. One of the things we did have kind of the flexibility to do in the last budget that we probably don't have now. As we went through our audit process, we had a reserve balance that was outside of our general fund. Our auditors said, is there a reason if you have it designated, let's bring it into general fund? So it's part of that general fund number now. Our general fund days on hand of cash, as you see, like 188. If we just consider the actual first quarter about 197. So that would be if we consider new initiatives where we would consider drawing down to provide these things that we're discussing here tonight. So I just wanted to put that out there. Property tax collections have not begun yet. This is not the quarter nor the period of time that we receive those revenues, so you can see those. One thing that we also see in a couple of things as far as revenue goes, or some of the state shared things are lagging behind. Sales tax seems to be lagging a bit more. We had a good start, and it seems like February, March are a bit on the slow side, and also with income tax collection. And these are the things that we're going to be monitoring to see if they're going to hold true with the trend or if it's something that we have to account for. It may be uncertainty that we're seeing. We certainly all know what's happening out at the state and local level and the federal level. And it may be kind of some pullback from our residents and people who are out making purchases and those things. They may have some income impact. We don't know, but I just wanted to say those things as we look, to these initiatives, that we've got some things out there that are on our plate. Other taxes that we're looking at seem to be lagging. The only thing that seems to be holding steady is video gaming. I know that's something that we are talking about, but I think in the packet I did include where we are. You could see those gaming locations. So those are the things that are going on. I think expenses are holding steady or lower. I think some of our big projects certainly are ending. You're not going to see that in the report. So I just wanted to talk about that as we talk about revenue and revenue projections.
Thank you. Okay, any questions from the board?
I can always provide additional things beyond this setting.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
yeah, so the revenue projections have been slow in certain sales tax.
As compared to the same quarter of last year. So that's kind of how we measure those types of things. Yes.
How much
Trustee-
of, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How much of that has to do with the 1% grocery tax?
The grocery tax, I don't think
That's
there's.
still in effect.
Still in
That's in
effect.
effect
Still in
until the end of the year,
effect.
yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be something the new board will have to address if they want to
That's a
keep
good
that.
question, yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Fears of a recession are going to weigh heavy within the next 3, 6, 9 months. If you're seeing the softness right now in some of the revenues, would you attribute that at all to this, or is it outside issues? Or?
It may be too early to tell, I think. I think in the next 3 months, our next quarter review may either confirm or just say it's a slowing. We don't know.
Okay. Anyone else?
So
Yeah, Trustee
when do our estimated tax revenues for this year start to hit?
Usually in the second quarter toward the end.
And,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And we're hoping, because we've got our final sign-off from our auditors for some grant revenue that we've been waiting on related to Lufkin and our renovations there, and hopefully those will be in pocket here in the next
Quarter or so.
Yeah, certainly in the next quarter.
And what's the difference in our fund balance from last quarter?
I don't have that right in front of me. I know, I don't see it because,
Is it
the accounting thing.
steady?
It is steady.
Okay.
And I don't see any changes right now.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it. Okay, item 21 is executive session.
I had a couple.
I'm sorry.
Let him go
I'm
first.
sorry.
I had a couple
Okay,
other
fair
items,
enough.
if you don't mind. It's all right. First, July 4th parade. We're looking for participants and sponsors. If you have any, if you wanted to look for that information, it's found on our website, and also you can go to the VFW Post 2081. They are the actual. They're not the sponsor. They're the
the people who put together the parade, but the village helps with as we can. So they're looking for participants and sponsors. The request has gone out. Reminder to department heads, elected officials, candidates, file your statement of economic impact. If you have a question, you can contact our office. I think we have the information you need. Wednesday, May 7th, DMMC has a day in Springfield. I have signed up to go down. I've gone down with President Kazone last couple of years. It's a good chance to have an impact on legislation. We have been very fortunate that our legislature has been kinder to villages than some other states, and they have a receptive ear, especially the DuPage legislators, and so we're looking forward to that. And then employee cookout the next day, Thursday, May 8th, at the Public Works Garage, starting at 11 a.m. And you all are also invited on this dais, so if you have time to come by. And that's all I have. Well, I will add, in case I don't have a chance to say this, on the 12th, it's been a pleasure serving with you, Hosanna Kornecki, with you, President Kazone, and I won't forget Trustee Corkery. It's been great working with you guys, and I appreciate the support and the cooperation and the dedication to, most of all, the dedication to the citizens of Villa Park. That's it.
Okay, item 21 is executive session. 5 ILCS 120/2C1, the employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body, or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. 5 ILCS 120/2C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. 120/2C5, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired. And 120C11, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. Do we have a motion for executive session and then adjourning our regular meeting out of executive session? Trustee Alfano, second. Trustee Kumar, questions or comments? Clerk Kornecki, please.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. So we will go into executive session. We will adjourn our meeting out of executive session. Hope you all have a good week this week, and we'll see you at Coffee with the Board.
I wanted to make a comment.